Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so in Proverbs 6, verses 20 to 23, it says, My son, keep your father's commands, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. Bind them upon your heart forever, and fasten them around your neck. When you walk, they would guide you, and when you sleep, they will watch over you. When you awake, they will speak for you. Those commands are a lamp. This teaching is a light, and the corrections of discipline are the way of life. So I never fully understood my mother until I became a mom myself. Growing up as an only child, and she was a stay-at-home mom, so all her attention was just on me. And I remember when I was in kindergarten, she would take me to school, pick me up, and she would prepare my snacks and my lunch, and I would always have a healthy snack. You know, my classmates would have chocolate chip and cookies, and I would have sweet potatoes and wheat bread sandwich. And so we would eat inside the classroom, so my teacher would come up to me and say, oh, look at Maila always has a healthy snack. But I love chocolates, and up to this day. And my mom would always limit the amount of chocolates I could eat, because if I eat a lot, I would get a sore throat, and that would trigger my asthma. So I said, maybe when I grow up, you know, I can have all the chocolates I want, and no one's going to reprimand me. And I'll take medicine if I get, you know, if I have an asthma. And I think it was mid-'80s when the video games were just starting. And all the kids in the neighborhood had this Nintendo family computer, which is now known as the Nintendo Wii. And I was begging my mom to buy me one because all my friends had it. And she said no, because at age 9, I was already wearing eyeglasses, so my vision was bad. And she said if I play too much, it's not good for me. But she allowed me to play with my friends. You know, she told me, just tell your friend to bring the game in our house and you can play, but only for like an hour. But I love Mario Brothers, so I said, how come all my friends had their computers? I wish my mom was just working, so she wouldn't know how many hours a day I can play. And then, like in high school and college, you know, I think those are the times when you would rather spend your time with your friends. But my mom made an effort to know all my friends. She would welcome them in our house, prepare them food. But when we go out, my mom would always tell me, oh, you have to be home at 10 in the evening. And it kind of gets later, like 10 or 12 midnight, as I got older. But my friends and I, we love music, we love dancing, and we love going to places where we can watch live bands. And my mom would let me go, but she would say, oh, you have to be home by 12. And the band's not finished playing their set of songs. And she would call me if I was running late. And sometimes what I do with my phone is I put it on silent mode, just to kind of pretend I don't know what time it is and I forgot. And then I noticed, I go, why did, you know, my friends' parents, you know, they don't call them, and their curfew was later than mine. And so what my mom would do is if I'm running late, she and my dad would go to wherever we are and pick me up, or she would ask someone to pick me up. And so I said, you know, after college and when I move out of the house, I can stay as late as I want, you know. And so after college, I did move out of the house, and I think it was hard for my mom to let me go, but I have to learn how to live independently. But she never failed to call me up and ask how I was doing, if I'm okay. And then I realized all the things that she did for me is out of love, you know. As a young adult, I've made, you know, bad decisions, and may have caused her disappointments, and we had our misunderstandings, but her love for me is unconditional, and just as love loves us unconditionally. Before I was even born, she has already loved me, and just as God has loved me even before we loved Him. And and her desire for me was for me to grow up with good morals and values, be able to achieve my goals by walking in God's ways. And now I realize that's what I want for my children too. Every day I pray that they would, reach their full potential and, follow Christ. So every day, I pray for that to happen, just like what my mom did for me before. I may not like some of the things that I couldn't do before and other kids can do, but now I realize it was just all for me to grow up, to be a good person. And going back to that, I remember one day at work, my coworker and I were chatting, and somehow we were talking about brothers and sisters, and I told her I'm an only child. And she said, I wouldn't have guessed you're an only child because you don't act like it. And I guess your parents has raised you well. So I told her, I'm going to call my mom right now because she would be so glad to hear that. In Proverbs 22, verse 6, it said, train up a child in the ways he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So all the things that my mom taught me, she taught me how to pray, how to put God above all things, respect, how to get along with people from different walks of life, how to share blessings, and many other good things. So I'm very thankful for her that she has taught me all those things. But my mom gave me this book. It's called Mothers and Daughters, and I'd like to share with you some quotes from that book. A daughter needs a mother to guide her through the steps of childhood, to give her an extra boost in the obstacle course of life, to give her the courage to take risks, to know the meaning of unconditional love, to show how even the smallest act can help change the world, to teach her what it means to share, to be her rock when times are hard, to give her comfort no matter what kind of storm she is facing, to remind her to take a jacket even when she's grown, to soothe her heart with wise words and gentle touch, to nourish her body and her soul, help her acquire the knowledge she will need to face the world on her own, to be her constant source of support and strength. A daughter needs a mother who will never think she's too old to need her. To this day, my mom still always helps me at home. She would come visit me every weekend, and she would cook meals that's good for 1 week almost, so I don't have to. I just put them in the microwave, and so I don't have to cook after work. So it doesn't end when you move out of the house. She's always there for me. So let us show our love to our mothers, not just every Mother's Day. We can never repay the love, the love that our mothers gave to us. What we can do is just be the best person and show them how we care for them, even though they live afar. Give them a phone call or send a message on Facebook, just to check on how they're doing every day. So happy Mother's Day.